Thanks, Bob. So I think our talk will flow on well from Florian's talk. So my name is Maeve, and as Bob said, I am a paediatrician, and I'm part of an NIHR-funded project looking at individual patient data meta-analysis of skin barrier interventions for prevention of eczema and food allergy. So we're going to start off just talking a little bit about what is IPD and why you might use it, and then Susie, the statistician on our project, will talk a little bit more about the statistical methods. So just to start off, what is IPD? So individual patient data relates to getting the actual data record for individual participants in a study from original source data from the trialists. So that is in comparison to getting your aggregate data where the information is averaged or estimated across all individuals in the study. So one of the first IPD was described in the Lancet back in '93. So it's not a new method, but I suppose a new interest in this method is now in recent times. So the aims of your IPD meta-analysis is going to be similar to an aggregate data meta-analysis. You want to summarise the evidence on a particular clinical question. So it's important you need to inform evidence-based practice, pool your levels of evidence together, and IPD can look a little bit more at how your treatment effect is modified by either the study or the participant factors. The advantages of IPD would be, I suppose, one, looking at like quantity and quality. You may have more, depending on your group, more trials and more participants. You can go back like you did and verify results of individual studies, for good or for bad. Check the original data and the quality of data, and standardise outcomes, particularly if you're looking at prospective meta-analysis. Looking at your statistical analysis in IPD may allow more up-to-date follow-up of participants, particularly if it's been a while since the data has been published. You may have more long-term follow-up. And then results for poorly reported outcomes can be recalculated if you have the original data. Looking at kind of grey areas of literature, results of unpublished studies can be calculated and incorporated in more easily if you have original data. And you can standardise your statistical methods across the different groups. Also, mainly what we look at is who the intervention works for. You can have more consistent exclusion and inclusion criteria of your participants. You can adjust for your baseline characteristics. There's some meta-analysis will work for specific subgroups and to make sure that participant is in the correct subgroup, and may help towards prognostic modelling. One of the, obviously, why isn't everybody doing it? There are some disadvantages to IPD. The big one, I suppose, is the time and effort of getting the original data from the trialists. Particularly if you're thinking of doing a prospective meta-analysis, there will be issues regarding trust and data sharing agreements. If you're going to be sharing this data pre it being published by an individual trialist. Particularly, I think in England, in the NHS, there's kind of confidential concerns about using participant-level data to ensure that this data is properly anonymised. The data itself needs to be clean, needs to be in a consistent format, needs a good code book, and there's a lot of resources needed for the team collecting the data, but also for the original authors who, this trial it was retrospective, it may have finished some time ago, there's lots of questions, lots of checking, and who is going to provide the resources for both the original authors and also for the team collecting. And obviously, like every meta-analysis, the quality of the data is dependent on the quality of the original study. IPD also has its potential for biases. Study selection bias. I mean, if it's particularly if you're doing prospectively, are you biasing who's not in your group, who you're not going to be able to get data from? Publication bias. We try to avert that by looking at widening our search, ensuring it's not just all published data. And availability bias is very important. Reasons why people may not want to share their original data. Is there differences in the study, in the integrity of that study, or the quality of that data compared to what of the data that you're able to get. And also there are times when aggregate data may be enough. Aggregate data meta-analysis can well be enough if there's already detailed and clear reporting of the trials, maybe enough for short-term outcomes, binary outcomes that need simple analysis, or if your trial already has very clear outcome measures. If you're looking at like an effect of a treatment across a whole group rather than subgroups, maybe aggregate data is enough as well. And also, depending on the reporting of trials already, if all the aggregate data can already be obtained in full from authors, maybe IPD then isn't worthwhile. But IPD can certainly change the implications of studies. This is an older example, but one of the more the first ones showing how IPD can really help meta-analysis. This was looking at laparoscopic versus open hernia repair, and it was for reducing pain in participants post-op. The initial aggregate data meta-analysis showed statistically in favour of doing an open repair of hernias with odds ratio with a wide confidence interval. And then following up from this, there was like an update with included individual data meta-analysis, which actually showed the opposite then, that laparoscopic repair significantly reduced persistent pain compared with open repair. And when they looked at the differences between both the meta-analysis of the aggregate data and the IPD, showed that what reason for differences, one was volume and numbers. The IPD included new additional 17 trials. They did show that few of the published aggregate data were available in IPD, and sometimes, like we've seen, reanalysis of the trial can show marked differences compared to the aggregate results. IPD meta-analysis is a growing area of systematic review. It's now recognised as a gold standard. This is just showing how many IPDs were published, looking in the systematic review of Maeve, Cochrane and Medline. And I suppose more recently the new interest in IPD meta-analysis is because of the promotion of publishing all your data and maximising the use of clinical trials for both the effort put in by the patient, potential risks they may have during the trial, and resources in a resource-limited times. So then, where does IPD come into Cochrane? So Cochrane methods have an IPD meta-analysis group, though they do recognise that typically IPDs are not Cochrane-led. This was convened in '94, so again it's going on quite some time. Provides workshops at Cochrane locally, there's training courses, and the Cochrane IPD meta-analysis have come up with preferred reporting items for Prisma IPD for when you were reporting an IPD meta-analysis. So how might you start if an IPD meta-analysis is what you're looking for? So the first thing is to consider your clinical question. Do you need to have IPD data, or can be answered by aggregate meta-analysis? The next consideration then is whether it is a prospective meta-analysis versus a retrospective IPD meta-analysis. And the difference, there's pros and cons for both. In a prospective IPD meta-analysis, you can more easily align the outcomes and the interventions so that you might have a more robust answer at the end of the trials. But obviously it takes a lot of time and effort and agreement between trialists to, lining up their trials from the beginning. More retrospective IPD can be maybe a little bit easier in that the data is already there, but it needs to become available and you need to share it with your colleagues. There's kind of otherwise you look at an IPD meta-analysis, does it include a systematic review approach, or is it just a collaboration with other research groups? I suppose the difference between two is just exclusivity in your research group may also introduce a bias. So many IPDs now have a systematic review plus an IPD meta-analysis. So the IPD meta-analysis that we're involved in is called SkyPad. So it is skin care intervention for prevention of atopic disease. And it's led by Bob and the team in Nottingham, Beep. So what we're looking at is So we know that allergic diseases such as eczema, asthma and hay fever are more common recently, and they have an increase in frequency. And there's recent evidence that early onset skin barrier dysfunction precedes clinical eczema, and we know that eczema is a risk factor for the development of food allergy. So the question is, will skincare interventions in early infancy prevent eczema or food allergy? So the big pilot study, which here, shows that application of emollient for the first 6 months of life in high-risk infants can reduce the prevalence of eczema at 6 months. So skip that one. So then, if we can reduce the prevalence of eczema and have an intact skin barrier, like on the left-hand side, will that reduce the sensitization to food allergens across a damaged skin barrier? So, why do we need IPD for this project? Well, first of all, food allergy is far less prevalent than eczema. So around 15%, depending on where you are, the population studied, about 15% of children have eczema, around age 2 to 5. Whereas only around 1 to 4% of those children will have food allergy. So that's one reason to use IPD. Another reason is that food allergy outcomes can be really difficult to classify. What is a food allergy? When we look at the link between eczema and food allergy, mainly it's immediate, Ig-mediated food allergy. But what is food allergy then? Is it, a report of reaction to food? Is it a positive blood test to food? Is it a skin test? Or is it an oral food challenge? So, because the outcomes for food allergy can be very difficult, bringing together a group with individual patient data may be that we can align our outcomes more clearly. Other things to think about is study factors, like which intervention works. Is it leave-on emollients? Is it other skincare interventions? And when do you need to implement them? And for how long do they need to be implemented? Also, we want to look at participant factors. Which participants are most likely to benefit from the intervention? Is it on sex? Is it the age the intervention starts? Is it a family history of A to B? A genotype of increased risk of A to B? So so far, we have groups from the UK, Norway, Japan and Australia who would participate in our IPD, and obviously we're always, like today and other days, looking for other collaborators who would wish to participate with us as well. And I suppose our plan to date has been the initial collaboration group was established in 2017. The protocol has been registered on Prospero. We have a protocol development now through Cochrane in 2019. And for the prospective part of the meta-analysis, we have lots of collaboration with the main groups to align our food allergy outcome and eczema and food allergy outcomes. We've lots of meetings, as you can imagine, for prospective sharing of data. You need agreement, trust and collaboration between all the different parties. Our plan is to really, update our search of the register shortly and start data sharing, and our schedule for completion is in late 2020. So Susie now will go through some of the statistical methods for using IPD.